So let me just start with some stats. The cyber chapter began in 2020. It's a COVID story. And as of sometime last week, I had graduated 924 students from the cyber chapter since 2020. We have a dropout rate of about 12%. I've onboarded more than 166 volunteer instructors. Probably I'm working with about 70, 75 active instructors right now is what I need to graduate my goal of 200 students a year. I have a goal of trying to be at 10% of what National is doing or no more than 200 in a year. And so we have a lot more than 10,000 hours over volunteer hours just with all the instructor hours that are happening. Of the instructors that are working for the cyber chapter, I'd probably say maybe a good fifth of them are probably instructors that are with an in-person chapter. So I will take instructors pretty much anywhere. They have to either go through the local in-chapter process, whatever the VA requires or whatever you require, a background check, of course. And then for all of the cyber instructors, I actually have about an hour interview with them, really trying to talk to them about the goals that we built this program on and see if that's a compatible fit. Right up here where it says National, CAVARTS, and G4V, think of these as a way you access cyber lessons. So cyber lessons, they're the same no matter what door we send a student in to go through. I say door, so I think of the National Cyber Chapter, which is what we'll look at on our website. On the first of every month at noon Central Time, we open up the application process and students sign up to get into that. CAVARTS is my backdoor. We actually have a way where veterans can join this virtual community. And again, I'll say more about that. But it's the same program, same pool of instructors. And we used to have a program called G4V at Sea. It's not active right now. We may look at reenacting that. That was a really cool program in 2022. G4V partnered with the US Navy to establish the G4V at Sea program. It was a guitar learning program for active duty sailors aboard the nuclear powered aircraft carrier USS Harry S. Truman. So we recruited guitar players on the ship. We had a handful of sailors that were guitar players that we kind of christened as G4V volunteers while they were on the ship. We provided our curriculum and all of our resources, excuse me. And we were able to get 10 lessons into those sailors and graduate them. We had to helicopter the graduate guitars out to the ship. And if any of you are in the Navy or have worked on those ships, I mean, space is at a premium. So even storing a dozen guitars was kind of a fun project. But so when I talk about the front door National or backdoor CAVARTS, that's what I'll be kind of referencing today. Cyber began really from COVID. I was an in-person chapter here in Findlay, Ohio in 2018. We had a really good year for a first year in 2019. Good for me and good for the size of our community. I think we graduated maybe 16, 17 vets that first year. And then, of course, in March, COVID hit in March of 2020. I had 3 students at that time, in-person lessons that were either at their 7th or 8th or 9th lesson. They were this close to graduating. And when it looked like it was going to take more than 6 weeks to flatten the curve, I emailed them and I said, do any of you want to try finishing in virtual instead of waiting? And we'll figure out how we could get a guitar to you. And so I had 2 of the students say yes, they wanted to do that. National saw that there was some cyber at that virtual lessons happening and reached out to me to see if we can think about how we might do this nationally. So we started really small, and I want to tell you, I came into this, and I will still say, in-person lessons are the best way to learn this instrument, hands down, period. But when there was nothing happening and we didn't know when we were going to open up, what we did is I recruited 7 volunteer instructors. We worked in phase 1 with just 10 students, graduated them through. That was October of 2020. We then went to a phase, and we still weren't open up nationally. Nothing was happening in terms of opening everything back up. We did a second phase, I think it was 15 students. And as we were graduating that second phase out, COVID was being abated and we were starting to open up things for in-person lessons again. We had a decision to make. The decision was, okay, we're done with COVID. We don't need cyber lessons anymore. Or does a cyber chapter still kind of serve a purpose? And I'll tell you one of the things that really surprised me when I went into these first two phases, I was pretty optimistic that something would go wrong with the technology. Either streaming issues, broadband issues, Wi-Fi issues, webcam issues, audio issues, Google Meet issues, that something would interrupt the audio and video of the lessons. And surprisingly, what are we, 6 years later, we're really not seeing a lot of that. There's maybe a little bit that comes up where audio is buffering or video is buffering, but we have not seen the interruption of lessons that I thought we would have based on technology. The other thing that really surprised me was in my previous life, I was a social worker. I worked in the behavioral health field, and I was not prepared for the social emotional connection that I made with my students during those first two phases. We really looked forward to lessons. The graduation was really hard because it was a formal ending of our weekly meetings. And that social emotional connection was, I think, part of the reason that G4V advocated that we still keep the cyber chapter around in one way, shape, or form past COVID. So kind of the four learnings that we took from that is we will still say in-person lessons are the best. Virtual lessons are not for everybody. Not everyone likes the technology. Not everyone has access to tablets and computers and webcams that work. But we also know that virtual lessons are sometimes the only way a veteran can be introduced to this great instrument. And in essence, virtual lessons are better for some than no lessons at all. And that's kind of the four axioms we took forward from our phase 1 and phase 2 of the cyber chapter. So going forward, we can say who the cyber chapter is for. We basically say generally it starts with being available for any veteran that can't access a local chapter. And when we talk about access, there's kind of a couple pillars to that. One is the obvious that if there's no chapter at all in their community, well, they can't access lessons in person. So send them to the cyber page. If they're 40 plus miles, and granted, this was somewhat arbitrary. We were trying to think of what traffic is like in Detroit and Los Angeles versus rural Appalachia versus Findlay, Ohio. But we were kind of saying if you're 40 plus miles one way, that's kind of a long way to drive to and from lessons to make that weekly commitment for 10 lessons. So generally we said if you're 40 miles plus from an open chapter, we would consider you eligible for the cyber chapter. And then we have a series of veterans that might have an in-person chapter in their community, but they can't access you. And that might be for a couple reasons. If we have in-person chapters that have 6 months, 7-month wait lists, I kind of think if a veteran needs to wait longer than a month, then I'll go ahead and serve them if they're can't access. They also might not be able to access an in-person chapter because there might be an hour differential, not all. And I'm going to be speaking generally about in-person chapters. Please allow me some latitude with that. I know that we're very different, and a lot of it is driven by our community partners. A lot of it is driven by what our VA partners will do. We now have more VFW partners, we have VSO partners, so I'm going to be speaking broadly, but there are some times where we might have a vet that could only do Saturday morning lessons or evening lessons because they work during the day, and there might not be a chapter that can match that availability. And sometimes we have some local partners that have rules about who can get into the Guitars for Vets program. For example, you may need to be a client of a certain VA program. You may need to be in treatment in a certain VA program. We have a few programs that are residential based. So there might be some reasons where, well, they're 40 miles or less to an open chapter, but they still can't access it. And so we kind of say that the cyber chapter is available and generally for vets that can't access a local chapter for these reasons. We will end with questions and answers. I know we're going to want to get to that. So just a quick comparison. We try to mimic what we think you're doing when you're introducing veterans to the guitar. We're just trying to do it virtually. So in your in-person chapters, they're obviously in-person lessons for the most part. Ours are virtual. We don't have a dedicated platform. We'll use Google Meet, we'll use Zoom, we'll use FaceTime. Those tend to be, that's probably 90% of all the virtual lessons. Every once in a while, we might get the VA system that is used or Microsoft Teams, but almost generally everything is Zoom and Google Meet. We also try and provide 10 hours of 1-hour lessons each week. We actually talk about 11 total hours because we use that very first meeting as an orientation. We didn't want either our instructors or our students to feel like that they were getting cheated out of a lesson, because we want to take some time during that meeting to do a couple things. We do a lot of Plan B problem solving. That would be, what if you break a string during your virtual lessons? Do you have somewhere you could go? Do you know someone that could help you fix a string? What if you don't have a tuner? What if you don't have a chord chart? So we try and do a lot of what ifs to kind of prep for things that may happen. We also ask our instructors to try and evaluate the playability of the guitar. So we will have them talk through the student holding, particularly the fret action at the first 5 frets. We want to kind of see, now this is an electric guitar, so this isn't a good example, but we want our instructors to try and assess the playability of their guitar. Unlike the in-person chapters, we don't give them a practice guitar. If we did that, we'd be shipping a lot of guitars all over the place. So we do say right on the website, you must have a guitar in your possession. We don't care if it's an electric guitar or an acoustic guitar. We'll work with you with whatever guitar you have. And then we use this orientation session to try and evaluate the playability of that. Obviously, we do gift them a graduation guitar just like you do. Some of the chapters maintain the wait list with our students in the waiting status. We don't have a wait list for cyber. The demand is huge, and what we do, it's kind of an on-demand, and I'll show you in a second when we go out to the website. I base it on capacity, so if I've got to, say, graduate 200 students a year, I've got to get 17 a month on average through. And so the front door, I'll open up the front door on the first of the month, and we might have 10 to 12 slots. And soon as those applications come into Salesforce, it automatically then turns it off so no one else can enter. So it's kind of an automatic process. So I don't know what our wait list is. What I could tell you is when we have 15 spots on the national program on the first of every month, it fills up really quickly, like 15, 20 minutes, it's already filled. The backdoor CAVARTS is a bigger window, and that's why I encourage our veterans to join CAVARTS because we have a wait list there with a smaller capacity, but it's a smaller group of people. And we're also able to do lessons. We do that on the 15th of every month. So on the 1st of every month is the front door. Directions are on the website. 15th of every month, we do it through CAVARTS, and we'll talk about that in a second. You may have aftercare programs, you may have jam sessions, you may have G4V bands. We have CAVARTS, and again, we'll talk about that, but that is our virtual community for all things guitar. It's not just for our graduates, we're moving more and more of our students there that are waiting to try and get on for cyber lessons. We have an introductory program called the ITAG program, Introduction to Acoustic Guitar. Self-paced, we took the first 5 hours of our curriculum, we made it into a self-paced program with video and audio, and it mirrors kind of fretting and learning strum patterns, and it's something for them to get started on while they're waiting for their instructor. And then the final thing is we talked a little bit about how we do the volunteers. So I want to talk a little bit about the front door and the back door. I kind of said it's on demand, and I think we'll do this in 2 ways. I'm going to have Bailey take over the screen, and we're going to go out to our website. We'll talk about the front door, and then we'll come back here to my screen, and we'll talk about CAVARTS and how that works. All right, so You can always email me at paul@guitarsforvets.org. I also have a cyber at guitarsforvets.org if it's about cyber, but I'm trying to make it really simple for you. If you have any questions about how someone gets into cyber or what you should tell a student, I always give them our website and say go to our cyber chapter page. So Bailey, if you scroll down a little bit, what we do first is all of that stuff I told you about our rules, how close you must live, that you must have your own guitar. If you're unsure about the chapter closest to you, you could click on the red letters and find a chapter. And so that's all just a repeat. And then there are two ways you could sign up. This page is the front door, and this is the one that on the first of every month at 1, and then we kind of listed all the comparable time zones, because remember, we cross multiple time zones, that they can click on the cyber chapter application and they can fill out their application. We do ask them to verify veteran status. Usually it's an upload of some sort of DD-214 or a VA card. The second way, the back door, is by joining CAVARTS. If you'll scroll down to the bottom first, I just want to kind of show them that we have, keep going, information about joining CAVARTS. We try to make it really easy. There's a video they could click on that shows them how to find CAVARTS when they're on searching, how to join and include it in the membership. It's free to them. And then once they join, they have to join, it's called the Guitars for Vets Learning Center, where all of the lessons and the material that we provide. So we try to make it really easy. And a lot of times that's where what students will do. I'll often see an enrollment spike after the first of the month, because I'm assuming students came and they clicked on the application button and it was closed. Why don't we scroll up a little bit, Bailey, and click on the application button? You'll see that we're closed now, so a pop-up will come up and just say we're closed, but alternately, maybe you should join CAVARTS, and you could get on the wait list there as well and take the iTake program. So that blue box segment is more about the rules. If you scroll down just a little bit, rules about the terms. It talks about our attendance. It talks about what happens if you miss lessons and the requirements. So this is everything that someone would need to know. I was just talking to Bailey now. We'll put somewhere on there my email. So if people still have more questions, they could email us. And maybe just now clarify at least the way Cyber Chapter is operating it, because we're now offering the base program and high voltage. Students can sign up and ask which of the programs they could get into. So we can do bass guitar lessons virtually as well as electric guitar. We do have because we are trying to share and introduce the gift of music to as many veterans as possible. If we have a student that has gone through any of our programs, say the acoustic program, and they're asking me if they can join up for the bass program or Operation High Voltage, I've been saying no, but I've been putting that in that terms. Our goal is to introduce this to the idea of music through guitar to as many veterans as possible. And when I say it that way, they seem to all really understand. All right, so that's the front door. Let me talk a little bit about our relationship with CAVARTS. Challenge America is a nonprofit that was started by Amy Grant and Vince Gill. In fact, you may have seen they're getting ready to do a big fundraiser in July at the Grand Ole Opry. They're raising money for Challenge America, which a lot of it goes to the CAVARTS program. We've been partnering with them since 2022. We created the G4V Learning Center. Challenge America itself is a nonprofit that provides connection for military families to benefits, but they kind of focus on non-traditional things. It isn't so much VA and government benefits. It's community resources, recreational programs, and they've developed a very specific love of the arts, and that's where CAVARTS comes into play. CAVARTS it's kind of a wonky acronym that stands for Challenge America Veteran Arts Community. So Challenge America Veteran Arts Community. This is a virtual space, an online platform. It's a social network that you must be a veteran to join. It's created for veterans by veterans. And the idea is if you have any interest or passion in the arts and you're a veteran, join CAVARTS. Your interest might be painting, it might be photography, It might be leatherworking. It now, as of 2022, might be guitar. And what CAVARTS does is provide a little virtual space based on each of those specialties. So I kind of liken it as going into a mall. And when you're in the mall, you've joined CAVARTS and you're milling around with a whole bunch of other people in the mall. But until you decide what your art is, what store you want to go into, that would be painting or photography, or in this case, guitars. And so I wanted to, Bailey, maybe it'd be good if we go look at CAVARTS really quick. I want to see how I'm doing on time. So this, you might not get a lot out of this. So let me give you kind of the highlights. This is kind of, if you're new to CAVARTS, it's a complicated space. This is like more than just a Facebook page and a Facebook feed. It is that as well as other things. So if you go to, yep, thanks. If you go to welcome, this is kind of the landing page after you join. So this would be the virtual store that is all guitar centric, all about the guitar. And the way you would navigate it, going across, as Bailey just hit welcome, the next one is feed. This kind of acts like a Facebook feed. We can share videos, we could share tips. We sometimes share graduation photos here. Go back up to Daniel's iGem. Mike Kelly does a program for us once a month where we got a songbook of some like 30 songs, and he's got videos, if you know anything about Mike Kelly's channel, instructor videos for each song. And then once a month, we will take 5 songs. We'll have all of our microphones off. Mike will play the songs and we will play and sing to our hearts because our microphone's off as loud as we want with Mike. So we do that once a month. We have 5 different live events that we do each month. Scroll down just a little bit more. I saw Alyssa asked a really good question about becoming a rhythm guitarist. So you could see it's a lot of really good feedback on resources, and a lot of these resources are in this community, which is nice. It links out to YouTube when we need it to. Scroll down just a little bit more just to give you an idea. I think we had, we're thinking about maybe doing a music history program. So this is one of our users that presented us a YouTube video on music history. And then that's getting ready for the iJam program. So if you click, Bailey, on guitar lessons, this is where we have our iTake program and hundreds of other lessons. Bailey, if you collapse, go back up a little bit to the right there and collapse all. So you see we have 183 separate lessons. What you're seeing now as Bailey scrolls down, the first 5 is the iTake program. That would be the Introduction to Acoustic Guitar. Bailey, go ahead and click on 2.0 iTake just to get a sense. It's going to open it up. And again, this is mirrors. If you look at the left-hand column now, you could see the headlines, how to read a chord diagram, your first chords. Go ahead and click on your first chords. You'll see the E minor and the A sus2 come up. It's linked with videos. It's linked with pictures. So it's a really great place that we send students to that are waiting to get to their virtual instructor. All right, if you X out of that, I just want to be mindful of everyone's time here. And we'll just, the G4V workbench is, click on that. That's, do you need help changing guitar strings? Do you have questions about cleaning your guitar? Do I dare even try the truss rod of my guitar? Go ahead and click on string change and cleaning of your guitar there. We have PDFs put out by Taylor and Martin on what they expect you to do. We have live events where we have some of our instructors telling their favorite ways to string it. We have maintenance checklists. So it's just a whole host of resources. And this is kind of what I wanted you to get a sense of. If you X out of this, Bailey, you'll see we have, I don't know, 20, 25 different programs. Guitar Brigade is for lessons beyond graduation. So you could learn about the blues, you could learn about pentatonics, you could learn about triads. We got a specific program on blues and bluegrass. The Guitar Player's Toolkit is for songwriters and making music, and on and on and on. So we have just a ton of lesson material in there. So that's kind of quickly what you're joining when we're sending students to CAVARTS. You could go ahead and X out of that, and I'm going to come back and finish up then. So I want to do just really quickly, since we started in 2022, there's over 2,000 members in just the G4V Learning Center. This is one of the things I've been wanting to open up for all of you. In person is the best, but you still might have a vet that would love this online community. We could talk separately about how you invite them, but I invite everyone that graduates from the cyber chapter gets a template from me. Welcome, congratulations on your new journey. Have you thought about these resources? And so it's continued learning with some YouTube programming, and then it's joining CAVARTS, and then it's, we're really trying to push them to join. So the 2064 CAVARTS is open to any veteran. They don't have to even come through the G4V program, but it's available for us if you're a veteran. We looked at some of the sample lessons. There's over 150 G4V curated YouTube videos. So these aren't YouTube videos that we're pointing to that someone else built. These were live events that we did on the Guitar Brigade, the Guitar Shop, and we've now put them into a library of resources. And just those 150 have over 19,000 views. And I want to end with, we do an evaluation that we offer. It's not mandatory, but when someone graduates, in their graduation letter is also a link to an evaluation that they fill out. I've had over 400 returned. If any of you do social science polling, that's almost a 50% return rate. If you remember, I've had 900 graduates, so that's pretty good. Now, this is just an example of 2 of the questions we ask. We actually ask several demographic questions. Then we ask 10 questions specifically about music and their mental health in terms of dealing with stress and anxiety. So this is a first example of how you'd rate your instructor, 5 being the best, 1 being not so good. And you could see that the overwhelming majority are giving us that best rating we could get. This is 274 responses. This is just the front door. I've got another 260 in CAVARTS, and the ratings are almost identical in terms of this pattern. And we also ask a series of questions, 1 being, has learning guitar provided a positive tool to navigate stress? And again, we're really proud of their ability to latch onto this instrument and use it in a way that provides a sanctuary for themselves as they're going through it. All right, so we have a lot of things. I'm going to go through this quickly because this will be the last thing that Bailey's showing us. Is we have a bass and a guitar curriculum. It's an hour-by-hour curriculum we wrote for instructors. We also have our YouTube playlist that's organized by skill level. So we'll have a playlist on chords, a playlist on strumming exercises, a playlist on picking. We also have a Google Drive. Again, this is for virtual, but you have access to all of this, and we'll show you that in a minute. A Google Drive that has a whole bunch of resources, strumming exercises you can assign as homework. Because students come to us and we don't give them the Hal Leonard book or anything, we might have to give them their first chord charts. So we have a Google Drive of PDFs of left-handed chord charts. If we have vets with damaged fingers, kind of 2-finger chords, just a whole bunch of resources available in our PDF. A couple helpful websites that we use, metronomes and drum tracks, and ways to figure out chords for songs. And then I talked a little bit about graduation resources. That was kind of the formal presentation. It's 2:41. I wanted to come back to Bailey. We'll spend a little bit of time on where you find all this stuff, and then we'll end with questions if that works.
Can you see this, Paul?
I'm just seeing.
We can see the instructor dashboard there, or the CC dashboard.
Yeah, you're saying that, but I'm not seeing that. But I'll believe you. Oh, okay, got you now. So this is what it would look like as you're logging in. I'm going to show you where all of these resources are available to you. If Bailey, please, you would go to, scroll down. Oh, you got it. Yep. Instructional aids is going to be the file under files where you would find the springboard for all of this. So before you see any of these, there's 2 curriculums in here. In the upper right is the bass curriculum that was developed by a team of 4 of our G4V instructors that teach bass, that play bass. And we had a lot of fun creating a lick-based curriculum. So like the guitar program, it's hour by hour, and it's written as if you're brand new to bass. And the guitar curriculum then was song-based and written that way, hour by hour for song-based. So go ahead, and those would be the 2 curriculums, but I want to give you a quick example of what's embedded in these things because it's very rich with additional resources. If you click on that, please, Bailey. Bailey's my Vanna White. All right, so This is just the beginning of the curriculum. Go ahead and scroll through that. We talk about what we hope to achieve. We also provide an overview of the lessons in terms of what we're doing. And again, this is for a brand new guitar player. If you hold there right there, Bailey. As we get to the later hours, the first few hours are kind of, if you're brand new, it's going to be parts of the guitar, open string names. We use a chromatic scale for fretting, E minor and A-sus2 for the first two chords. But as you get through the plans, you may have students with, they learn differently. They have different talents. And so you see by hour 8, 9, and 10, we're kind of branching off into showing and pointing you to other resources that are available based on your students' interest. If you scroll down a little bit there, these are just what we call instructor best practices, something you should consider doing with all of your students. And this isn't just virtual. Go ahead and scroll past that. I don't think we have time to get into that yet. But what I wanted to show you, keep going. Stop. If you scroll back up to that first hyperlink, nope, scroll up. Cyber chapter resources. Again, it says cyber chapter, but this is all for you. Can you click on that and will we follow your window?
It is not actually letting me. I
Oh,
think
probably because we're
I
in
have,
view.
yeah.
If Bailey were to click on that, it opens up a Google Doc, and it is a quick access to our YouTube playlist that's sorted, all of the videos that are sorted by the skill set you're trying to teach. And again, these are embedded within lessons, but this one landing link gives you access to all of it in one place. So while they might be embedded throughout the lessons, like when you're learning strumming, we'll have strumming YouTube videos and strumming PDFs. This would be access to everything. So it's 3 layers. One is our YouTube playlist video. So you click on it and you're brought right out to the YouTube playlist. The second is PDF resources. So if you need strumming, chord diagrams, left-handed chords, it's all there. And then the third page is websites. So we have websites for, again, left-handed guitar players, Ultimate Guitar tab for getting the chords to songs. We have a drum and metronome for working with students that want to practice with that. And it's all there. So I just wanted to make sure we had enough time. And if you're not probably able to show us that.
I'm gonna try to click in there through.
Yeah, one more time, because we're doing good. It's 2:46. Beautiful. All right, so this is an example of all the YouTube playlists. By the way, before you click on any of those, that yellow is how you, if you need to, you could also download the curriculum there. We just showed you where it's available in the files, but so let's click on chords and fretting. That's second one at the top. Oops. Click on online resources at the lower. Yeah, now click right in the words, chords and fretting. And that's going to take you to a YouTube playlist that is nothing but the D chord, the C chord, the G chord. And these are videos that the instructors are talking about all those little micro movements you need to make to get your fat fingers out of the way or to get all those nice strings to sound out. Bar chords, power chords, just about anything you could think of. If you could go back, Bailey, it's gonna keep your YouTube window. Yep. I won't have you do others, but there's homework you can provide for chord transition and finger picking. Now click PDF resources on the lower right. Click PDF. Yep. So click on chords. And this is a Google Drive, a PDF. Oops, you got to be real specific when you click on it. So go back to home page. Yeah, beautiful. So these would be chord charts, left-handed chords, two-finger chords. You can kind of scroll down that and see bar chords, anything. And again, we're thinking virtually of reinforcing a student's lesson because it's virtual, but certainly all of these are available for you as either handouts for your student or if you want to assign homework as well. And Bailey, if you go back to the, and so there's other PDFs on, there's a really good strumming one that we won't look at now, but it's a really good way that they can make up their own strumming pattern based on how they're putting the arrows. And then the very last page, lower right, is the websites. So this would be the Guitars for Vets lesson group, Ultimate Guitar tab, Rhythm Generator, the Lefty Guitarist, etc., etc. Thanks, Bailey. That's it. Let's come back to the group and see if there's questions. I do want to say when I'm onboarding instructors that are teaching for me, I don't make them teach out of that curriculum. I do make them tell me that they will do the best practices with every student. So that's teaching them not just what to practice, but how to practice, reinforcing the skills from lesson to lesson to lesson. And that's why we have PDFs and YouTubes, because I want them to think about in between lessons, how are they reinforcing it? And then the third best practice is we really need to manage a student's expectations. Most students think learning guitar is easier than it really is. And if we don't want them to drop out before the callus stage, we have early conversations about what to expect and that there's millions and millions and millions of guitar players, so I know you can do it, but these callus stage is one area that gets to be tough. So I don't necessarily, I actually developed that curriculum for me because I was nervous about teaching back in 2018. So I don't really make them. I just make them say they're going to do a song-based approach. So the 10 hours isn't a lot of time. And I know I'm getting into maybe some controversial areas about what's the best way to teach student a guitar. But we have definitely picked a song-based approach. So it's about fretting, chords, and strumming so that they can start playing along with their favorite songs within 10 hours.